I mean, how deep do you want to go, Tom? Do you want the I got married in Vegas after only a couple of weeks story?
Did you?
Yeah, of course.
Did you actually?
Yeah. If not me, who? Never expect somebody else to do something that you're not prepared to do yourself.
We're now 8th in the world as a manufacturing country, but it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like we're one of the big guys anymore.
The way out of a recession is you've got to make something that people want to buy. I think there's a real lack of leadership for decades now from government. Cross me once, that roller shutter door comes down, never to be open.
I'm glad we're still talking. Hi, my name is Tom Flude and I'm a co-founder of Engineers Insight. Today I'm sat with Jonny Grey from Yaskawa UK. Jonny, welcome to the podcast. Do you want to just introduce yourself, tell us about your role at Yaskawa?
Hi, my name is Jonny Grey. I'm the sales director for Yaskawa. I've been with the organisation now since 2007. We look after the robotics, drives and motion portfolio for Yaskawa, a Japanese company founded in 1915. And we have a global footprint and we are very proud that all the products we supply pretty much are involved in utilising our own technology.
Okay, so who and what are you responsible for?
In the UK?
Yeah.
Okay, so I look after developing and putting the robotics and system business to market. So we look after naked robotics, that's robots to end users or system builders, and we have a lot of system business for arc welding systems that we push out to the end user. And then we have drives and motion portfolio, so that's servo drives, servo motors, motion control, and we push that out to end users, system builders and OEMs.
Okay, so that's right now covered. You want to go right back to the start. Where did you live?
Oh, how far back do you want to go?
And what did you want to be when you grew up?
It was pretty easy. When I was a young lad, I wanted to be a soldier. That's pretty much because I was from a military family and a military background. So when I hit 18, I was off and joined the service. I did that for 7 years,
Okay.
travelled around quite a bit. Wasn't enough adventure, so I decided to go backpacking with a friend around the world. Didn't get very far, I ended up in the United States and ended up staying there for about 6 years.
Okay, all right. So what did you do in the US?
What did I do in the US? Skiing, whitewater rafting, mountain biking. But I also ended up working for a controls company. And that's where I got my very first foray into robotics, working for a company based in Chicago.
Okay. And did you have mentors at that point? Did you pick up mentors along the way in the US, or did you have anyone back here that you were reaching out to regularly?
So not really in the US. I was traveling around a lot for work and I started doing some global projects and actually ended up coming back to the UK on a job and suddenly thought, you know what, I miss friends and family. I've had enough of being in the US. So I came back to the UK, but I was very lucky in landing a job for a company called British Federal in Dudley.
Okay.
Sadly now long gone, but there were some real good engineering guys in there, apprentice type guys who've been working for that company for a long time, and it gave me a real good foundation and solid intro back into manufacturing in the UK.
Okay. So before you stepped back into manufacturing, that gap between the army and coming back to the UK,
Yeah.
Did you have jobs other than the controls job? Did you have a regular job? Did you work behind a bar? Did you do any of that sort of stuff?
I had multiple jobs.
Go on.
Yeah, I mean, Christ, I worked as a maid at a motel
Really?
for several months.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to go clean rooms and stuff.
Excellent.
That was in Glenwood Springs in Colorado.
All right, okay.
With a couple of guys that I was there with. Yeah, a bit of bar work, but, you know, anything to pick up a bit of money really at the time. That was all before I managed to secure a green card.
Okay.
I mean, how deep do you want to go, Tom? Do you want the I got married in Vegas after only a couple of weeks story?
Did you?
Yeah, of course.
Did you actually? Okay, yes. Go on then.
Yeah. I was in the Silver City Casino, got chatting to a girl one night, and fast forward about 3 weeks, and we ended up getting married in Las Vegas.
Okay. Is that still your current wife?
No.
No. Do you want to stop there?
Yeah, we're on. You know, I've been married 3 times.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah, as my brother used to say, I'm clearly addicted to wedding cake. But, no, happily married now for a long time. I've got 2 kids. So yeah,
How old
always
are the
good.
kids?
My daughter's just turned 18,
Oh.
and my lad will be 16 shortly. So.
Okay. So this is a long time ago.
Yeah, we're going back. There was a lifetime. There was the then Johnny, and there's the now Johnny.
Just picking up on, you mentioned the army.
Yeah.
What skills did you pick up during that time that you could transfer throughout your career?
So I was lucky in that more by accident, I ended up joining the Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineers, and I became a controls equipment technician.
Okay.
And it gave me a fantastic grounding in technology. I went to the School of Electronic Engineering, which used to be down in Arborfield. And from there, not only developed a good, solid technical skill base, but the Army was very keen that you got formal qualifications for it. So you can do, it was BTEC ONCs and HNCs, and people go on to become artificers. I didn't do that, but that was available. And I still, to this day, think that the British Armed Forces, if you're looking for a technical career, can potentially be a really good starting point in place to get a good founding and grounding in industry.
What about not just industry, what about the soft skills? What's something that stuck with you?
Soft skills?
Yeah, you know.
Where have you read that? Soft skills?
Come on, I'm a podcast host now. I'm not talking, turning a screwdriver. I'm talking
So,
leadership.
well,
discipline.
leadership, I think, is a classic example. The armed forces teach you to deal with people, to lead, and obviously initially to be led. It can be challenging to transfer those skills because when you ask people to do things, they just do them. And in civilian life, that's absolutely not the case.
Yeah.
But I do think it gives you a focus. It does give you a good grounding. And armed forces, wherever they be, from the Army, the Navy, Royal Air Force, UK and abroad, anyone with a forces type background, I think their biggest skill is they're adaptable. They're adaptable. They can deal with adversity, whether that be in the workplace, a challenge, or it's a difficult project. I think they've got typically a good, positive, can-do mentality.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
All right. So you leave the army, you go to the US, get a controls engineer's job, then you come back to the UK.
yeah.
And where did you work? You worked for
A company called British Federal in Dudley.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then always robotics.
So no, that was traditionally a spot and resistance welding company,
Okay.
but they did do robotic projects, and that's where I dabbled a little bit in the US with robotics. Then I got a better grounding when I was working over there. They were based in Dudley, and it really progressed from snowballed from there. One robotic project led to another robotic project, and I actually thought at the time, this is something with a future. Let's get involved in this. So I then really kind of channeled my career down that robotics route, and it's what I've been doing ever since.
Okay. And you've worked for a few of the brands.
I have worked for a few of the brands, yeah. I've Motorman, now Yaskawa. I'm just going to put that out there so nobody is unclear on that Motorman has always been a brand of Yaskawa. It's the same company.
Yeah.
Kuka I worked for a while, and I actually went off to ABB for 2 years.
Okay. So I know that you worked for Yaskawa, left, and then came back.
I did.
And that was, which one was in between? Was that ABB?
I went to ABB.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that gap, where you left Yaskawa, joined a competitor, went back to Yaskawa, what did you learn in that change of roles, and what gave you the confidence to come back to Yaskawa? Because you took a step up, right?
Yeah.
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 So what gave you the confidence to go back as a manager instead of a sales guy?
Looking at my own personal development, where I wanted to be, what I wanted to be doing, let's say 10 years, 20 years in the future. It also gives you invaluable insight into how different organisations work when you do make that step. Look, ABB was a good, solid company. They're extremely successful. I thought they were, let's say, a different ethos, the way they worked, certainly to Yaskawa. There's pros and cons in both outfits, the way they operate. I certainly felt more comfortable in Yaskawa as a much flatter management structure, an informal work environment. But I think it's also more productive. So yeah, I was offered an opportunity back at Yaskawa. I haven't been at ABB for a couple of years, so I seized that opportunity and took it.
Okay. So what? I suppose that the different way to frame it is, because the people that are watching this will have opportunities, especially there's skill shortages all the time. So there's opportunities coming up.
There's absolutely skill shortages.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a sales guy if anybody wants a job.
That's a good plug for the pod. But especially younger people that will see an opportunity to take a jump, or up the ladder, but they'll probably turn away from it. They'll shy away because they'll think, I don't have enough experience. So what gave you the drive to think, right, I'm ready now. I can lead a team of people.
You've got to believe in yourself, okay? And nobody's going to give you anything, okay? You can only get what you're prepared to put in. So if you're just going to sit there and think that somebody at some point is going to come along and offer me this opportunity, that's likely not to happen. You've got to go forward and grab hold of that opportunity, or make the opportunity for yourself. I think there's a little bit of a mentality, a bit of an entitlement mentality now. I'm getting on a bit, and I look at some of the younger generation now, and I think, they seem a little bit too comfortable, a little bit too, it's going to come my way. I'm entitled to that. And I think that's just not the case. The world is not like that. The world is tough, and if you don't grab hold of something or chase it yourself, you're just not going to get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not just going to fall into your lap.
No.
So throughout the years, different companies, can you pick out any real challenges that I'm sure you've had a lot at different places? Pick out some sort of anecdote along the years that you thought, I'm really up against it here, but you managed to get through.
In terms of work, and there's some projects that if you're delivering multi-million pound projects, there will come times when everything seems to be going wrong. You're really up against it. The customer's not happy. The suppliers are not helping you, and you think, do I really want to get up and go to work this morning to be shouted at time and time again? But you just have to. Again, you've got to have that bit of mental fortitude to think, right, if not me, who? Why should somebody else do it? It's my job, it's my responsibility. I've got to make this work. I've got to motivate the people around me to get this right. What do we need to do? Do we need to take a step back and regroup and then, go forward again? I'm just a firm believer in that you've just got to be, if you're going to put yourself into that position, then you've got to be prepared to lead. You've got to get on with it. And there's no easy tickets. And, never expect somebody else to do something that you're not prepared to do yourself.
There's definitely that underlying theme with you, but with, everyone successful that, I put myself around, is that there's some sort of drive somewhere. It's coming from somewhere that you just get it done. It doesn't matter what's happening.
Yeah.
Like you say, you've put yourself in that situation. I think about it all the time. But people say, with the startup that, we're doing, why are you doing it? Well, why not me? If I didn't do it, no one else would.
Yeah.
So then it should be me.
Yeah, I definitely believe that. Look, I think, what are people motivated by? Do they want to be successful? Do they want to be good at their job? Are they just doing it for the money? I don't think traditionally they go hand in hand. I'm now the sales director. I don't do it because I just wanted sales director on my title. I don't think just having a really good job title makes you a better person.
No.
Certainly doesn't make you a good leader in front of people. The team behind you can make you successful. You've got to look after your team first, for sure. I have some great sales guys. I used to work with you. Don't
for your sins.
So, no, I really, I've been lucky to work with some really good people along the way, and that can make your life easier. But ultimately, what you just reiterated there, that if not you, then who else?
Yeah. Do you still own a pub?
So I still have shares in a pub. Yeah, that's a little side story. I lived in a village in Staffordshire, and the local pub closed. And a couple of ladies in the village come up with the idea that we should buy this pub and the village should own it. Right. And I went to a meeting threw my hat into the ring with a couple of suggestions, and before you know it, I was the chairman of the society, and one thing led to another, and we raised several £100,000 from the local community.
Wow.
I bought the pub at auction. 6 months later, the pub was open, and it's trading like a good one now.
Is it?
The Shrewsbury Arms in Kingston in Staffordshire
Good shout out.
is a community-owned pub.
Amazing. Okay. So, I mean, we talk about like overcoming challenges in career, but I'm sure that come with a lot of challenges.
Massive amount of
Even
challenges.
just the community.
You try and herd in several hundred shareholders,
wow.
members of the public, as it were, who've all got their own ideas of how it should work and what should go on. But it was a good journey. It was a good experience.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd do it again. But the pub's really successful.
Good.
You know, and I actually think, you know, that's a bit of a side thing, but that's a business model that will succeed and become more and more common for public houses. I'm a great believer in pubs, but I think they're going to really struggle to survive. And public share ownership in the local community is one of the real plus ways that they can succeed in the future, I think.
Was that before COVID?
It was. We bought it just before COVID.
So is that was it the business model that kept it alive, or was it something else?
The business model played a great part in keeping it alive. We were able to be flexible with the tenants that we put in there to run the place.
Yeah.
Plus, if you own shares in a pub, you're incentivized to go there and spend your money and keep it going.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I remember the ridiculous times. They're putting a marquee up in the car park. You could only have 6 people sat around a table. You didn't have to wear a mask indoors, but if you got up and went to the toilet, you had to wear a mask. I mean, come on, what was all that about?
I know.
Yeah. I mean, that's something, I don't know if you really want to get into that, but I was quite aghast at the way people just succumbed and surrendered their freedoms and just went along like sheep almost, with no real mythology behind it.
It was scary how quickly your life was just turned on its head.
Absolutely.
You know, it was like I remember at the time thinking, this feels like a movie. You know, you'd leave the house, there's no one there, there's no one on the road.
Yeah.
We were still working.
Yeah.
No one wanted to see you.
No. I sat having a coffee on at the services on the M1. I can't remember which services it is, but there's a bridge over the motorway.
Yep.
And it was like something from the zombie apocalypse. There's no traffic on the M1 motorway.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so we've gone through your career, and one thing that I know we've spoken about a few times, and I speak to all business leaders about, is like this skill shortage.
Yeah.
And supporting colleges, universities, all that sort of thing. And it's one question that I've got in my list of questions. It's a scenario that I ask everyone.
Yeah.
It's, imagine you're stood in front of a classroom. What advice would you give the next generation of engineers?
What advice would I give the next generation of engineers? Okay, I think engineering is a fantastic field. So many opportunities in it. I think, but also I've done some lectures at universities, and while we always should aim high, and I've just been saying that in the podcast, also I think people need to be realistic of where they're going to be, and look at the opportunities that are there right now. Set your sights on one of them and actually go for it. You know, have an idea of what it is you want to do.
Yeah.
And there are so many companies out there that are prepared to invest in you if you will put the time and effort in for them.
Yeah.
I think engineering is a fantastic field, absolutely fantastic. And I wish there was more focus, not really from the students. I think there's more focus from the government on that. It's an essential element of a country's economy.
Yeah.
If we go back to COVID and the times before that, when we had recessions, the way out of a recession is you've got to make something that people want to buy. Physically make something that people want to buy. That's the way out of a recession. By generating goods that people want to buy with money, and that benefits the economy. Just moving electronic numbers around on a computer doesn't, in my view, it might be controversial, but in my view, that does not an economy make.
No, and you know, UK as a whole, our output, you know, we're now 8th in the world as a manufacturing country, but it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like we're one of the big guys anymore.
We are.
I know we are. On paper we are. I mean, but you as a sales guy, I've been up and down the country, and you go and it's friend to share.
Again, I think there's a real, like we talked about leadership, I think there's a real lack of leadership for decades now from government in terms of engineering, manufacturing, production in the UK. Because it's a little bit more difficult and more investment is needed. The employers are there. They want the employees and they want those skills and they want to be successful. In terms of the forefront of development of technology, the UK is still right there. It's often on the production side. I mean, I'm 54 now. I go back and look at some of the catastrophic decisions that were made in the UK in terms of, let's start with, the apprenticeship programs all died. And we put in place like youth training schemes. Yeah, come on now. Thankfully, apprenticeships are coming back in a big way now, and they absolutely must be encouraged.
Yep.
You get somebody in for 4 years, we can train them to become a quality engineering, technical type person.
Yep.
And they can go on and have a really good career, and the UK as a whole will benefit from that. Robotics is a classic example of the UK not investing how it should compared to our European competitors and global competitors. I mean, you look at the International Federation of Robotics and the numbers, the UK is pitiful in terms of the investment level.
Yep.
We've always been reluctant to make that long-term investment.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't particularly matter what technology you look at. I think there's always that short-sightedness. Even if it's making a sale, everyone wants the return on investment immediately. No one's thinking about, well, in 5 years' time, the resilience of my manufacturing site is, 100 times better than it was 5 years prior.
Yeah.
I just want a 12-month turnaround to make some more money.
Yeah, definitely a mindset within some companies and some organisations.
Yeah, and I find it with with the apprenticeships as well. You said 4 years and you've got a fantastic engineer and it's great for the country. For the smaller employers, they see it as a risk because you spend a lot of time and money on an apprentice who, 3-4 years' time is a quality engineer, and they'll go and take a big pay rise at a bigger manufacturer. And you've got to sort of feel sorry for them in that respect, because they are the people that are investing in the country, in us being a manufacturing country, but then they'll lose the staff, and then they're on a vicious cycle of spending money.
It's also an issue, a challenge. Why? What are we not doing right, let's say, as managers or organisations, to encourage people who want to come on an apprenticeship scheme and stay on it? I've got a friend who's a farrier. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of money in putting horseshoes on.
Yeah.
He can't find anybody who wants to be an apprentice.
No, I'm sure
he's had a couple of guys start and then, this seems like hard work, and then leave. That's just one example, and I'm sure there are many others. I know of some other companies that run big apprenticeship schemes. We're talking not just dozens, hundreds of people. The dropout rate's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But why is that? Is that the people coming on the apprenticeships, or is that something as employers that we're doing wrong?
Yeah, I mean, looking back at my apprenticeship.
You had an apprenticeship?
I did. Yeah, I didn't learn much, obviously. It was at a big manufacturer.
Yeah.
I was one of two. The other guy, he left within 12 months because he just got pushed into the garage. He was packing boxes for months.
Yeah, okay.
He was supposed to be a PLC programmer.
Well, there you go.
We
So
had the opportunity, but it was the company that decided that,
Yeah.
and then he left. He decided to go back to uni. He became a geography or history teacher, something like that.
Yeah.
So we've lost another fantastic potential engineer.
Yeah, that's a clear failing on the employer's
Yeah.
side there, isn't it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worked great for me because then I was the only apprentice and I had a bit of leverage to get a contract out of it, but that's not the point.
So,
Okay,
All right.
so gone through that.
yeah.
The next section I want to touch on is leadership. I know we've said about
Yeah.
what you picked up in the army and stuff like that. As a business leader, what principles do you hold valuable to you?
So the first, it might sound a bit crazy, but the first one I think is when you're dealing with clients is honesty.
Yeah.
Honesty.
Yeah.
to be successful in sales, you've got to have a good relationship with the customer, and that's built on a mutual understanding, a trust and honesty. You know, you can get a quick win, but the only way you're going to get that repeat business that sustains your business, his business, and grow that relationship is being honest with them. When you've got a problem, tell them about it. When you can help them, tell them about it, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah, and straight away, I'm thinking of COVID, supply chain issues, and then my job changed from selling stuff to telling people that you're not getting deliveries.
Yeah.
And that was harder than the sale. That was harder than, you know, chasing a customer.
It's a real
for
difficult
months.
spot to be
That's
in, isn't
horrible,
it?
yeah.
I'm going to go in this meeting and I'm going to disappoint somebody again.
Yeah. Yeah, no one wants to disappoint anyone. No, you'd rather them say, no, I don't want to buy from you than, you what? You're not going to deliver, you're going to push it out 6 months. And then it got even worse than that, as you remember.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so
I
honesty.
think, you know, honesty, integrity,
Yep.
and then trusting your people. Not just, you know, having that relationship with the customer, but the people that are working for you. So you've put them in a position to do a job. Okay, I'm an absolute believer in you don't micromanage people. If I'm paying somebody to do the job, I will, you know, I want to trust them, let them get on and do that job.
Yeah.
That's why I've hired them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and people grow that way. I think if you, you know, if you encourage them and give them the tools that they need, you know, you can watch people grow and grow and grow. I've got a guy that was always from a technical background, and he's come in. I give an opportunity to move into a sales role, and he's absolutely flourished and grown within that role.
Yeah.
So again, there's somebody probably never ever considered going from the technical side to the sales side. He was keen to try it. You know, we had a discussion. Yeah, let's go for that. Let's do it. You know, and by encouraging him and giving him the free rein to run with it, you know, he's been a great success. Yeah.
So are they principles that you hold people outside of work to? Is that
absolutely?
your
Absolutely.
Friends and family.
Yeah, for sure. Cross me once, that roller shutter door comes down, never to reopen.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad we're still talking. So what's the hardest thing about managing people?
The hardest thing? Probably saying no. You know, if they've got something they want to do, or if they're looking to go off in a direction, sometimes you have to rein them in and just say no. Not because maybe it's a good idea, but you know, obviously we're in a business. You've got to protect that business. Look at what's right for the business. So yeah, I think sometimes you know you've just got to say no, and that could be to the customer as well. Yeah,
Yep.
The customer's not always right.
Clip that, Dan. That's in the intro. Do you consider yourself successful?
I don't really think about it. I'll tell you who does. My mom, bless her. My mom. You know, my mom always says, "Oh, you've done so much. You've come so far. You should write a book." And some of the, you know, so there's certainly some stories we're not going to talk about today that could go in the book.
Oh, I was worried about that when you mentioned Vegas.
You know, but you know, from living on the traditional council estate in Middlesbrough, as it were, I've been all around the world twice, and then some. You know, had some really good jobs with some great people. Do I think of myself as successful? I don't really. You know, I'm working. I'm doing what I do. I enjoy what I do. I don't really consider it that. That's not why I'm in it to think I'm successful. How do you quantify that anyway? Am I happy? Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So
that's a good enough answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, episode 1, Sarah said the exact same. You know, what's success? Is it that I'm happy because I am happy?
Yeah.
Well, that's enough.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're successful, but you've also had a lot of success in different pockets of life throughout. Would you, when you look back on that success, would you attribute that to luck or hard work?
Hard work, but for sure, sometimes in life there's an element of luck, being in the right place at the right time. For sure.
Yep.
For sure. I don't know. You can start going in all sorts of cliches. You know, you make your own luck and things like that. But I think hard work, diligence, doing some of the traits, being some of the traits we talked about, trustworthy, reliable, committed.
Yep.
That gets you noticed, I think. You know, if you're dependable, people I think value that. So yeah, I think you've got to make your own success, but there's always element of luck sometimes, whether it be with a project, with a sale, with a job, with a person, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a combination.
Okay. Well, you can breathe now. That's the end of questioning.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. You've done your half hour.
Wow.
Wanted to just close.
Let's practice again. That's the first time I was doing it again.
We're on a schedule.
Yeah.
Where can people follow you? You're on LinkedIn, right?
I'm on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people can connect with you there.
Yeah, Jonny Grey on LinkedIn, works for Yaskawa. We also have a company webpage.
Yeah.
I don't really do much other social media. I'm not on the Facebook and things like that. You know, I think that's for old people now anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Community forums, that's what it's for now.
Yeah. So you've got more chance of finding me on a motorcycling forum than you have on an engineering forum. So.
All right, well, I just want to close by saying thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for being on this. Thanks for being honest and open. Thanks for helping me in my career. You know, we worked together for four and a bit years.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously someone that I've looked up to in the industry for some time now. So I really appreciate every bit of help you've given me along the way.
And I'm looking forward to continue to work with you and supporting you. And I want Engineers Insight to be a success. I think it's a great idea. It's a great tool.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jonny.
You're welcome.